Alright guys, so now that we have a better understanding of tokenization and how it works with what we're trying to do with language models, I now want to show you guys how to do inference in batch. So this simply means doing inference on multiple pieces of text at once. So previously we were just doing it one at a time, which is obviously limited. Sometimes you want to process multiple pieces of information at once, which is more, efficient than doing it one at a time, right? We're going to learn about this specifically on this model here. This is a fine-tuned model for classifying tone. So it's going to output the tone of a given piece of text, and the text happens to be financially related data. So it's trained on corporate reports, earnings calls, and also analyst reports. So 1.1 billion tokens, that's a lot, right? So you can see here that, for example, they're passing in a list of different things like there's a shortage of capital and we need extra financing, or growth is strong and we have plenty of liquidity, and this outputs labels like neutral, positive, or negative. So it's basically the same exact thing as a sentiment analysis model, except that it's also including the neutral label, but also specifically it's labeling the sentiment of financial data. It's not the sentiment in general of like, I'm happy, I'm sad, stuff like that. So I think this is great. This is actually the same exact model that I told you guys to use in one of the previous parts where I showed you guys for the first time how to use a fine-tuned model other than using a pipeline. So first things first, anytime you want to use a fine-tuned model, you want to bring in both the model itself using the auto model, and then you want to specify the head. So the head in this case is what we're trying to do is sequence classification. That's the specific type of problem that we're trying to do. So we're going to do auto model for sequence classification from pre-train and give it the model name. And then we're going to bring in the tokenizer for that same exact model because they go together, right? So let's run this. It'll download the model and the tokenizer so that we can use it. So I had it print out the model architecture like we did before. So this one is a BERT model. It's got the BERT base model. And then on top of that, we have the head, which does the actual classification. So here's the classifier. And has some dropout before as well. So that's cool. Anyway, so let's use it now. So to classify just one piece of text, we can do this as we learned. So we specify the text, we pass it into our tokenizer because anything that goes into the model has to first be tokenized so that we can obtain our input IDs as well as other things like the attention mask, which we're going to be learning about. Here we go, we get this, which is a tensor of numbers. These are the token input IDs from our vocabulary for the tokenizer. So as you can imagine, if you want to do now multiple pieces of text, you simply provide a list into the tokenizer. So we can copy this exact same code. They make it very, very simple. So just make sure you do text. So let's run this and let's see what we get. So you're going to notice that we got an exception. It says, unable to create tensor, you should probably activate truncation or padding. So this is what we're going to be learning about in this episode. This is why I want to make a dedicated video for it. So a tensor in PyTorch or TensorFlow cannot be like this. This is a tensor, and you can see that for every row of the tensor, it's a different size, right? So we're outputting a different number of input IDs per row, which would not obviously fit into a matrix. The whole point of a tensor is really to fit this as a matrix, and a matrix cannot have a variable number of row elements per row. That just doesn't make sense. So basically what we need to do is make it so that the output of this operation here takes it from a variable number of elements per row and makes it essentially square. So we can kind of visualize that a little bit better if we just remove the requirement to return it as a PyTorch tensor. Let's just directly output inputs and then input IDs. Let's take a look here. So you can see that now it has no problem with it. This is just a normal Python list, right, or list of lists. So you can see clearly now that this will not fit into what we understand as a matrix because, again, there's just different numbers of elements per row. So one of the ways that you can solve this is by enabling padding. And so if we do that, let's just do padding is equal to true. What this will do is get the highest number of elements from all these rows here. So whichever one has the highest amount of elements, it'll get that number. And then that will be the official length for each row. So we're going to pad the rest of the space for the other ones using just padding tokens. So if all of these numbers here represent specific tokens, we're going to fill the empty ones with a special padding token so that we can have essentially a square matrix, okay? So let me show you what happens when we do padding true. Here we go. So in this case, for this specific tokenizer, the padding token is just 0. So what it did is it found the highest row, like I said, and whatever number this is, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So this one's 14. This one's clearly not 14, right? So it just fills the rest of them with the padding token. So boom, and then this one has a lot of empty space, so boom. So now, if we want to return it as a PyTorch tensor, no problem. There we go, PyTorch tensor. Doesn't they're an exception this time. Now, before we saw that if we just get rid of this here, the output from our tokenizer also includes not just the input IDs, but also other stuff like the token type IDs and the attention mask. So the token type IDs is something we'll learn about even more later. We don't have to worry about that now. It's less important. What's important is the attention mask. So this is where that comes in. Let's focus on that. So let's target that like this. You can see that if you just look closely, it lines up with the padding that we added. So the way it works is actually very simple. So for every single output that we have, every single row here, there's going to be a 1 when it's an actual token, and then a 0 when it's a padding token. So for the first one, or for the longest one, it just happens to be the first one, it's going to be all 1s. And then for anything that's a padding token, it'll be 0. Now in this case, the padding token happens to be 0, but that's not always going to be the case. You can actually see which token will be the padding token really easily. You can just do tokenizer.pad token ID. So this will reveal to you the padding token ID for any tokenizer that you have. In this case, it happens to be 0, but it won't always be 0, okay? So again, what the attention mask will do is put a 1 wherever this token corresponds to an actual token, and then a 0 where it's just a padding token. So the reason we need this is because in situations where the tokenizer padding token is not 0, it can differ per tokenizer. It won't be able to tell which number here is a token or not a token, right? So this is why we use the attention mask, so that we know which ones is actually corresponding to padding or not padding. So when you feed input into the actual language model, not the tokenizer, you're going to pass both the input IDs, which is the actual tokens, including padding, as well as the attention mask, so that when it's doing its thing, it knows which ones to actually pay attention to. That's why it's called the attention mask. It's going to know to pay attention to the ones that are 1s, not the padding ones. All right? The padding tokens. Something we can do is actually visualize what it looks like if we convert our input IDs back to individual tokens. So let's take a look. So this is just the first sample, or the second sample rather. So we can see that it has our special token here, and then it has the regular tokens, and then it has our separator token, and then the rest of them are just padding. So you can visualize that it is adding padding through that method as well. So again, just to reiterate, what the padding will do, if you just do padding is equal to true, it'll find the longest sequence in the output of the input IDs, and then that length will be the length for every single other input ID row, and it'll just fill the remaining space with padding, all right? And we're doing this specifically because we have batch input that varies in length, so we need it to be essentially a square matrix. So what we want to do now, let's just take our inputs and let's feed them to the model and see if we can get an output. So we'll do outputs is equal to model, and then inputs. So that's simply going to, in batch, run the model on every single input in that list all at once, basically, in parallel, which is more efficient than doing it one at a time, like I said. So we can output the logics if we want to. This is just the raw output. So we can see now, instead of, normally we would have, or last time I showed you guys, first of all, we're only going to have one row, but this time we're doing it in a batch. So we have 4 rows, and then for each of the rows, we have 3 results. So 1 result per class label that can be outputted. Last time it was only 2 because we only had positive or negative. This time we have neutral, negative, and positive, or something like that. Neutral, positive, negative. You get the point. So it's really no different from doing it just one at a time. It's just that the shape is different. That's literally it. So now we're going to run a softmax activation on all of those logics from the final output of the model to convert it to probabilities. And so now that we have probabilities, we want to go through each of the samples and find the index with the highest probability, the highest number, and that will be our predicted class. So we're getting the conversion of the IDs to the labels using this model config. So we're printing that out. So we get 0 is for neutral, 1 is for positive, and 2 is for negative. And then now we're going through each of those outputs like I told you. And so for the first one, we get negative. There's a shortage of capital. That's obviously negative in terms of finance. Growth is strong, and we have plenty of liquidity, positive. There are doubts about our finances, negative, and profits are flat. So you could say that's neutral, right? Because it's not in the negative. The profits are not in the negative, so that makes sense. So as you can see, it's really easy, really simple to do batch inference with these language models. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about what parameters you can provide to the tokenizer in terms of padding and truncation, so that we can understand better what's happening. Now the default, if you do padding is equal to true, like I said, it's just dynamic padding. It's finding the longest sequence, and that's going to be the longest, and that's going to be essentially the size for each of the rows. It's going to pad the rest of them, right? Another option that you can do is max length padding. The way that this one works is you need to also provide a max length parameter to this, and we'll say 512. So now it's going to work by, instead of it dynamically deciding the length of each of these sequences here for the output of the input IDs, it's just always going to be 512 or whatever number that you put. You can put 20, for example. So essentially, the output's going to be a 4 by 20 matrix in terms of the input IDs. So let's run it actually and see what we get. Here we go. So here's the attention mask, and then here's the input IDs. We can see now that it's much longer, and now the first one is padded because it has to go up to 20 now. If you want to, you can do something crazy like 200 or 512. Let's see that. So it's isn't too big to even show, but it is that. We could do shape to see. There's the shape, so 4 by 512 matrix. So the reason I'm doing 512, by the way, that's not, just made up. This is the actual max length sequence for a BERT model. So anytime you're working with a certain type of model, like for example, it doesn't say it in the name, but this is actually a BERT model. See, BERT. The default BERT model happens to have an input max length of 512 tokens. So that's why a common thing that you would do is just set max length and then set the actual value to 512 so that you know that every sequence is always going to be 512. So if we were using a different model, a different language model that had a different max sequence length in terms of the tokens, you would obviously change that to whatever number that would be. At least that's the idea. The idea is at least have it lower or equal to that number because you can't squeeze more tokens into the language model than it has as the max, right? Obviously. So, anyways, that's the difference between the max length padding option and just padding is equal to true. Padding is equal to true just sets it dynamically by defining the longest sequence, and then max length obviously does it by the specific max length that you specify. The dynamic option is obviously more efficient because it's not having to use as much data potentially because it doesn't have to be up to 512, for example. So that's one aspect of why you may want to do that one. Some models require you to have a fixed input length, like it requires that to be a specific number and it cannot change. So that may be a reason you may want to use the max one, for example. So there's always trade-offs, and that's why you have those two options. So that's padding, but another option that is commonly provided is truncation. Truncation is equal to true. This will make it so that if it goes over the max length, it simply cuts it off, it truncates it. That's it. Otherwise, there'll be an exception. So if I just show you, let's do a max length of 20, and we just make sure that, we'll do 10 actually. Let's see what that looks like. So we get our attention mask, and then here's our input IDs. So you can see that the first two don't even need padding now because they are maxed out at 10 tokens. So it stops at 10, cuts the rest of them off. And then the rest still need padding because they're already short sequences. But then if we turn truncation to false, if we have truncation is equal to false, which is the default, but also the max length is 10, what will happen is an exception. So it cannot, that just won't work because it doesn't have the power to cut it off. So that's why often you'll have truncation is equal to true, as well as, whatever the sequence, the max sequence length in terms of tokens is for the model. So that's a common pattern that you'll see. And that's it. So that's how you can do batch inference with these language models on Hugging Face, as well as the different types of padding options that you can specify, and also truncation. So in general, you can do either approach. That you'll very often see this approach here, just like this, and then just put the proper number for the proper model that you're supposed to be using, and that's it. So thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you guys next time. Peace.